victorious on the other side. You may be going through something, but the good news is you're going through. You're still moving. You're still alive. You're still breathing. You're going somewhere. You're going through. You're not devastated in the middle of, you're going through. And guess what? When you come out on the other side, you're going to be stronger than you were when you went in, and you won't even smell like smoke.
We get disappointed in the people that don't help us along the way. But just because you're disappointed in people, don't jump off the ship and drown in the sea. Just because people let you down, don't give up on God, who never will. Just because you lost a job, don't stop trusting that God is my provider.
Sometimes you have to go through something to really get your insight, to find out who you really are, to find out what you really got, to find out that you're tougher than you thought you were, to find out that you can do more than you thought you could do. Through my eyesight, I connect with that which is around me, not that which is within me. And sometimes I cannot be delivered by that which is around me. I can only be delivered by that which is within me. If I look around me, I see circumstances. If I look in me, I see hope. So sometimes in order to really get your focus, you have to shut down your eyesight to build up your insight. Shut your eyes to what you see and turn on your insight to what you believe. You can't help victims when you see yourself as a victim. You have to announce your recovery to yourself. You got to command yourself, get up out of this hospital bed and start to move it.
Clarity. Because when you get in a storm, you become real clear of what matters and what does not. When you get in a storm, you're not trying to say, oh my God, let me get my Gucci bag. No. When you're in a storm, you get clarity as to what matters. Your priorities come into view when you're in a storm.
So if you can't control something and you can't get control of it, you have to at least embrace what you can. There's only so much you can do, and you cannot completely eliminate it. But you can't control it, so why are you going to worry about it? Why are you going to stress about it? If there's something that's completely beyond your control, you've got to detach from it and not let yourself get stressed about it.
Dreams without goals remain dreams, just dreams, and ultimately fuel disappointment. Dreams without goals, yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. You understand?
Someone's gonna get the candy in life. There's always candy in life. That piñata eventually always breaks down. Do you want to be the person who was there in the beginning, hitting as hard as you could and sacrifice it and never get the candy? Or are you going to get something for your pain? Are you going to get something for your effort? Are you going to get something for this sacrifice you're making? You got to get something for this pain. You got to stick in the game until the candy comes out, and then we all get to celebrate. I promise you there's going to be a payoff for you.
The big challenge is to make something out of each opportunity. Now, if winters are always going to occur in our life, shouldn't we benefit from them too? Come the next winter, you could be on the inside looking out, seated by a warm fire, the company of a good friend, and those unique feelings of security and...
I fought one hell of a fight. Are there any fighters in here? I fought such a good fight that when I look at what other people call a fight, what they call a fight is what I call normal. I fought my way up. I fought to get to work. I fought to stand. I fought to carry on. I fought to live. I fought to get out of the bed. I fought with my fears, my anxieties, my insecurities. I fought with haters, liars, backbiters, and betrayers. And many times I laid in the bed. I couldn't go to sleep because I was fighting with myself. I fought.
take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Take ownership of everything in your world, the good and the bad. Everyone took ownership of their mistakes. Everyone took ownership of the problems. Take ownership of your job, of your future, and take ownership of your life. And lead. Lead yourself and your team and the people in your life. Lead them all to victory.
Make your move before you're ready. We're instructed in life to walk by faith and not by sight. See, you want to really begin to stretch yourself. You want to become a risk taker. Most people won't do that. See, most people engage in low life living, low risk living. This God said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. Then what else is there?
Anybody who's not ever willing to risk will never do very much in this world. And in all probability, you'll end up being quite bored with your life. A couple things that I said last night that I don't want you to forget is walking by faith is taking step one before you know what step two is. After a few times, you get a little more used to it and it's not quite as scary, but taking a step of faith is stepping out to do something when you don't know how it will be provided for. But you believe with all your heart that it's what God has told you to do.
Life is short and unpredictable. And so you want to begin to take some chances. You want to begin to challenge yourself and make it okay to fail and learn from your failures. Don't allow fear of failure to draw you in. You can't get out of life alive. You got to die to leave here.
You got to make changes. You got to say no. You got to disappoint people. You got to walk away from some stuff. You have to. And so stepping away from things has felt much more dangerous to me than taking on 5 new things. Does anybody get it? Anybody out there, you get it?
Trying to learn early the consequences of errors in judgment, poor behavior. And then try to learn from others that have gone down a disastrous road, and sure enough, they suffered the consequences, and you say, wow, then I'm going to change direction because I don't want those consequences. That's called being doubly smart, learning from errors in judgment. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now you're on the road to success. A few errors in judgment repeated, and you can turn anything around. Once you see that you're suffering either early consequences or severe consequences, all you have to do now is shut down that route, pick another destination and start going that way with some easy disciplines that day by day gather momentum, and now one success leads to another, leads to another. Here's what we call that: disciplines. Easy disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. Every discipline affects the rest. Every lack of discipline affects the rest. What's interesting about success is starting a new discipline, a couple of new disciplines, and sure enough, once you've gained just a little bit of success in a couple of new disciplines, it'll inspire you to clean up the rest. It'll inspire you to fine-tune all of your other disciplines. Each lack of discipline affects the rest. Solving problems, going from errors in judgment to easy disciplines that can change it all. And if you start that journey, it doesn't take long for new signs of success to appear. I got such great results that first year that I made these incredible changes, learning extra skills, putting together their extra disciplines, working harder on myself and on my job. The early signs of the fact that I was going to arrive at a more positive destination, I was hooked. It didn't take but a few months, less than a year, and I was hooked for life.
So when you begin to say, what is it that I want to leave? What contribution that I want to begin to make? What difference do I want to make in life? What is it that I want to do with the rest of the life that I have left? What chances I need to take? What risks do I need to begin to embrace? What fears do I need to step on? What areas of my life am I dead right now? What dreams? You can either live your dreams or live your fears. You have got to get to a point where you say, I'm sick and tired of living like this. There's got to be more. That's when people go out and strike out on their dreams. That's when people get out of relationships where they're dying together rather than growing together. See, you will when you put yourself in that kind of situation. I'm reminded of two frogs that were hopping down the road and they fell into a bottle of milk. And one was hopping up and down for a while and he drowned. He just gave up. But this other frog just kept on kicking. He wouldn't give up. He just kept on kicking. And pretty soon he churned that milk into butter and he walked on out.
I ask you to start that same journey. Let your new skills, new disciplines affect all of the rest. You really won't be happy if you don't produce. 6/7 of our life was to be devoted to labor and work, to produce a work of art, to produce a good family, to produce an enterprise. That's the essence of life in its best form. First is to be a producer. What is the reason for the seed and the soil and the sunshine and the rain and the seasons of life and its miracle? What's the reason for all of that? Here it is in a nutshell for your notes. To see what you can do with it. We've got books to read and we've got classes to attend and we've got, things to do and things to learn. And if you put it all together, you can have not only your health, but your fortune. Why not see what you can do with what you've been handed? As basic as seed and soil and sunshine and rain. Here's what all of us have the miracle, and it's almost godlike in its potential. The ability to recreate. Only God can create the sunshine, the rain, the seasons, the miracle of life. But here's what humans can do. Recreate those components into a harvest. By planting the seed, reaping the rewards in the harvest. We call that recreation. To recreate, to take your hours and your energy and your life and a bit of skill and create, actually recreate a career, a future, possibilities, fortune, recreate.
And that changed my life. It was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said that once a person's mind is expanded with an idea, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So some of you are going to experience a breakthrough. Some of you are going to go back and look at your dreams and brush them off. Whatever goal that you have in mind, I want that to be a goal that will challenge you, something that will make you stretch. It was Osborne who said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talk yourself out of it? Whatever it is, bring it back out there. How you're going to do it, that will come to you in due time. See, you don't get in life what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You get in life what you are, not what you want. You see, the good news is that we can always become more by working to develop ourselves. You've got to begin to take a look at your life and look at where are you right now? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What gives your life a sense of fulfillment, a sense of joy? What does a full, rich life means to you? What is it that you could love doing 7 days a week? Think about that.
That takes an incredible psychology. But in that psychology, we bump onto limits, and that's what you got to shift. And if your psychology is solid, then you got to say, where are the skills I'm missing? Because that's equally important.
And you won't be happy if you aren't really extending yourself. Because here's really the goal of the human adventure, the full development of all your potential. Why not see how far you can go, how much you can earn, how much you can share, how much you can give? Why not see what all you could be? That's why at my age, I'm still working, traveling the world, doing what I've done for all these years, is to see what else I can become. How much stronger could I become? How much more refined could I be in my working with business partners and all the rest? Why not go for that ultimate challenge on and on? As far as you can, take it as far as you can. Friendship is one of the greatest support systems in the world. Nourish it, protect it, look after it, develop it to the best of your ability. Next is your heritage. Keep your heritage alive. That's what's made America great. Is a combination of a variety of heritages from all over the world. People have been coming from all the countries of the world to America, bringing with them their gifts. Gift of business ethics, gift of government, gift of music.
And you know what? Those days are good for us. It's good to go through those days. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. And don't complain your way through small beginnings. Because if we cannot learn to be thankful for those things, trust me, you will not be thankful when God gives you more. Because going through the hard times and remaining thankful builds character in us that we need to remain stable when God gives us more to be responsible for. We should have a goal to be the most thankful person on the face of the earth. Go through each day thanking God for little things like hot water and a friend and every convenience that you have, and do all things without grumbling and fault-finding and complaining.
Hold your head up and dry your tears. You have nothing to be ashamed of. If you want to begin to move, you've got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down. Let it go and begin to focus on developing myself. And I say to you, you're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go. And move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it?
Every other voice may be negative, telling you how you're not going to get better. You feel alone, isolated. It means you're in the wrong stadium. The enemy has a stadium filled with accusers, discouragers. Don't go there. That's the opponent's stadium. Your game is being played on the home field. Everyone in these stands is pulling for you.
Your life is a seed. The seed has to be coupled with a healthy environment. The seed has to go into the soil. It has to be healthy soil. The seed needs water. The seed needs sunlight. See, you and I are the same thing. We're a seed. We have to connect it to a community of people that are healthy and vibrant and believe the best really is in store for us. See, because you're kind of saying, I'm over it, but if you would share your calling, the moment you say, I'm over it, you would have somebody else walk up to you and say, wait a minute, let me just shed some light onto that dark area so that you can grow again. You're not quitting today. You're not quitting tomorrow. You're going to run this race of faith and you're not going to give up.
So as you begin to look at life, as you begin to look at the things you want to do, decide that you're going to become the active force in your life. Decide that you're not going to go through life feeling like a victim. Decide that when things become challenging, that you're not going to personalize it, that you're going to look at it, and you do whatever you must do in order to work things out and learn from it. That's the key. You will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
We all have things that come against us and try to keep us from our destiny. Most of what we struggle with didn't start with us. It was passed down. Things like depression, anger, divorce. Studies show how that can get passed from generation to generation.
If it's in your imagination, it's possible. Do you know that you can't think of something that can't happen? You know it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible. And if you live your life in possibilities instead of probabilities, you have a greater chance of finding happiness.
I cannot have another year like I had. I cannot sit in this addiction for another 12 months. I refuse to live like this again. Something's got to give. I'm desperate and I've got a hunger for God that only God can fix and God can fulfill and God can do in my family and in my home. To be slain with the sword is better than to be slain with hunger. Better to go down fighting than to sit there and die.
I believe that we have an obligation to God to learn how to live in victory. I want you all to make a decision this morning before we go any further at all. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Neither let them be afraid. Stop allowing yourselves to be agitated and disturbed. And do not permit yourselves to be fearful and intimidated and cowardly and unsettled.
You know, life will do this to you. Try to label you according to your educational background, according to your ethnicity, according to whether you're a man or a woman, or according to life will try to label you this way. I want to make an announcement. You can't disappoint what God has appointed. You can't disappoint. When God gets ready to do work in your life, when God gets ready to raise you up,
There's things in your life that are necessary, but they're unpleasant. Working out my legs is necessary, but it's unpleasant. Why is it necessary? Because it's the largest muscles in your body. See, what you learn is it's this thing called unintended consequences. You don't know what type of fight you got to face on Tuesday. You don't know what your boss is going to come and say on Friday. But thank God you've been putting in some work on the interior life that when you need to fight, you got some strength.
I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to do it, I'm all in. I'm the kind of person, I don't like being in between. I don't like to be at the back of the line. I want to be in the front of the line, and I'm going to prepare myself and work on myself to be a dominant voice.
Carefully consider how you live. So live wisely, not foolishly. Make the most of your time, because these are difficult days. You need to have a routine. Now, when you're stuck at home, it's so easy to slip into sloppiness. I want you to write this down right now. Routine develops resilience.
You got to resource yourself well, file every day, read every day. And so at 17, I started reading and filing every day, and literally have done it all my life. And one day I began to realize I was relying way too much on those files, that I wasn't as creative and I wasn't testing what I should be testing, because I had a safety net. I go over there and, well, here I got this. And I was starting to read old thoughts, and old thoughts are old thoughts.
Happiness is freedom from the negative children of fear, such as worry, low self-esteem, envy, greed, anger, resentment, and so on. Happiness is an awareness and a grasp of the positive power of life and loving values. It is an order of thought, activity, and lifestyle. Happiness is values in balance. It is contact with people of substance.
Never live your life in probability. Probability is the probability of something happening. There's a statistic attached to a probability. 1 in every 3,000 people do this. That's a probability. A possibility has no stats attached to it. Live your life in possibilities and you change it. Just change the way you think.
If you've had a dream, I guarantee you were born with that dream woven into your DNA. You see, dreams are deeply personal. And this is important for you to understand, because if you give up on your dream's going to haunt you.
When the seed is sown into your heart, the devil comes immediately to try to steal the seed that was sown. And I think one of the ways that he does it is by very simply testing you on what you just heard. And we need to get it. Learn a new sentence. This is only a test. Can we practice? Say, this is only a test.
You can't see how the fact that they laid you off from that job was actually preparing you for something, teaching you some things, going to get you some discipline in some areas, and that later on a door would open up that God would use to move you into new dimensions. But you can't see the destiny in the face of the disappointment. Sometimes God will give you enough of the details to get you in the right area, but He won't give you enough specifics where you don't need Him to show you what to do next.
When suffering hits my life, I hope I have been putting into my interior life. But in order to use all those other muscles to face suffering, you're going to actually have to put in and focus on the body and focus on your legs and understand it. It's leg day. It's going to have some unintended consequences. And his big leg day workout routine for you is this little phrase, live in harmony.
For 29 years, kicking cancer's butt. And still working, still in his right mind, still got the fire in his belly, still being active, still making a difference, still motivating people and inspiring people and making people feel good. If you believe that laughter is important, if you believe being deliberately positive is important, having a spirit of optimism is important in spite of.
Predictability creates stability. Structure creates steadiness. You need to set and stick with a routine for the duration of this pandemic. Stop watching so much news because it's all negative right now. And for your own mental and emotional and spiritual health, you need to monitor your media intake.
I made a decision, a very difficult decision, all of my work for all those years of filing. I made a decision to get rid of all of it. They're not relevant. They're not new. They're not fresh. They don't breathe. There's no fire and passion in them. I'm just going to say to you, one of the good things about a crisis is it begins to help us to let go of the things that we have depended on the past so that we can go to an entire new level of living.
One woman just decided, you know what? You can't take my dignity from me. I can only give that up, and I don't choose to give it up. And I will not go back to the bus. The answer is no. And Rosa Parks changed an entire society because that day she chose to focus on something else. She gave it a different meaning. This is not a command. You do not have control over me. And she decided to fight. And she changed the direction of a country and of many other countries. She started something.
There's another dimension, which is trait conscientiousness, which is integrity and dutifulness, orderliness, industriousness, openness, which is like a hybrid between intellect, intelligence roughly, and creativity. And so you can go there and find out how you compare to other people, and that's kind of interesting and useful because it's kind of useful to know who you are, and to know that that's actually who you are, you know, that you have a nature.
We forget that you don't have to be famous to have the ability to change at least your own personal history, to change the direction we go in our life. We have the power to choose, even if you haven't before. You can finally say, no more, I won't put up with that, within myself or from anybody else. And here's what I'm going to do differently. That's where the breakthroughs really start to happen. Now the question is, why do some people stand their ground and make something change versus other people just kind of accept things?
Happiness is contentment with the tasks of your life. It is thought inspired by, organized with, and rooted in your personal philosophy to become an invaluable form of currency for you to spend and invest in your own better future. Happiness is activity with purpose. It's love in practice.
You can take an introvert. You know you're an introvert if when you're around people, you get exhausted by it and you have to go off by yourself and recover. You know, then you're an introvert. And if you're an introvert, you don't really like being in groups. And so sales, you know, maybe that's not for you, you know. And that's a good thing to know because if you're an introvert, why go be a salesperson and be miserable? Do something where you can spend time alone and not be miserable. That's better.